Let's dive in. We're tackling Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money today.
Ooh, interesting choice.
Yeah. And, it's not your typical finance book.
Right.
No charts and graphs here. This one goes deep, like way deep, into why we make the financial choices we do.
I like it, uncovering those hidden forces behind our decisions.
Exactly. Ready to unlock some secrets.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so Housel, he kind of throws a curveball right off the bat.
How so?
He says, understanding our behavior and our mindset about money.
Okay.
That's just as important as knowing, the actual numbers.
I see.
That's not just about being a math whiz.
Yeah.
It's about being, good at life.
Makes sense.
And to really drive that point home.
Okay.
Housel shares this story, it's a great one, about a tech millionaire.
Tech millionaire?
Yeah. He met this guy when he was working as a valet.
No way.
Yeah. And this guy was brilliant, designed some crucial part of Wi-Fi routers.
Wow.
When he was practically a kid. Started companies, sold them, the whole 9 yards.
So a textbook success story.
You'd think, right?
Yeah.
But get this, he was terrible with his own finances.
Really?
Awful. Always throwing money around like he was burning a hole in his pocket.
Wow. So even with all that success.
Even with all that success.
He couldn't manage his personal finances.
Nope. He even gave a coworker thousands of dollars.
What?
For practically nothing. It just shows you even geniuses can struggle.
Yeah, if they don't get their money psychology in check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can be brilliant, but if you don't understand your own relationship with money, well, you're going to have a hard time.
It's a good reminder for all of us.
It is. And you know what else is fascinating?
What's that?
Housel says a lot of our money behavior,
Yeah.
it actually stems from our past experiences.
Okay, that makes sense.
Especially, he says, those early years, the ones that shape how we see the world.
Like our childhoods.
Exactly. He uses John F. Kennedy as an example.
JFK.
Yeah. His family actually got richer during the Depression.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
That's a completely different experience.
Totally. So because of that, Kennedy never really grasped how devastating it was for most people.
Interesting. So his personal experience shaped his view.
Exactly. It makes you realize how much our own backgrounds influence our views on money.
I bet it plays a bigger role than we realize.
Absolutely. Like someone who grew up during hyperinflation,
Yeah.
they might be super cautious with investments compared to someone who, say, came of age during a boom.
Totally different perspectives.
And on the flip side, someone like Bill Gates, who had access to a computer in the 60s.
Wow. Back when that was unheard of.
Right. Total luxury. That gave him a huge advantage in the tech world.
It's true. Timing and circumstances play a part.
It makes you think how much of our success is really about being in the right place at the right time.
Luck versus skill. It's an age-old question.
It is. And speaking of success and failure, Housel says we often misunderstand those two.
What do you mean?
We tend to give skill too much credit when things go well.
Okay.
And blame bad luck when they don't.
I see. So we oversimplify it.
He uses Bill Gates again, this time compared to his close friend Ken Evans,
Okay.
who was also brilliant,
Okay.
but died young in a climbing accident.
Oh, wow. That's tragic.
It is. And it's a stark reminder that sometimes life just throws a curveball.
No matter how talented you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it really makes you wonder how much of our own success or failure is outside our control.
Yeah, it's humbling.
And to hammer home that point,
Right.
Housel shares these contrasting stories of two investors,
Who are they?
Jesse Livermore, who made a fortune in the '29 crash,
Oh.
but later lost it all, and Abraham Jermansky,
Okay.
who was wiped out by that same crash.
Two sides of the same coin.
Right. It shows how luck and risk play a huge role.
Even in investing, which we think of as so strategic.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like no matter how smart you are, there's always that element of chance.
Right.
This next idea, it really clicked for me, the power of time and compounding.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's huge. Housel argues that building wealth over the long term, it's not about hitting those home runs, risky bets.
Right.
It's more about consistent growth over time,
Okay.
letting your money do the work.
Like the tortoise and the hare.
Exactly. He uses Warren Buffett as the ultimate example.
Of course.
And get this, most of his wealth,
Yeah.
it came after he turned 50.
Really?
Crazy, right? So he made most of his billions when most people are thinking about retirement.
Wow, that's incredible.
It really highlights how powerful compounding is over decades.
It's not about getting rich quick.
Nope. It's about playing the long game.
I like that, the long game.
Housel even compares Buffett's returns
Yeah.
to those of Jim Simons.
Oh, who runs Renaissance Technologies?
That's him. Now, Simons, he consistently beats the market
He's known for those incredible returns.
with way higher annual returns than Buffett,
Yeah.
but he started later in life.
So time is the key factor here.
Got it. So even though Simons has these crazy high returns,
Yeah.
Buffett's wealth is way bigger just because he's been at it longer.
Time in the market, not timing the market.
Exactly. It really proves how even small differences in those growth rates,
Right.
compounded over decades, can lead to totally different outcomes.
You're talking massive differences.
Huge. But even with the best plan, life throws curveballs.
Oh, wait.
That's why Housel stresses the importance of a margin of safety.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he uses this great analogy, card counting in blackjack.
Oh, I like that.
So even if you have a strategy that gives you an edge, you still need a cushion.
Right, to survive when luck isn't on your side.
Exactly. Just like a card counter shouldn't bet it all on one hand.
Yeah.
We shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket financially.
Makes sense.
Things like having an emergency fund, not going crazy with debt,
Okay.
and being mentally prepared for the market to dip, that's all part of that cushion.
It's about being prepared for the unexpected.
Totally. And it makes me think about how we always try to be like perfectly rational with our money when really we're emotional creatures.
Humans, not robots.
Exactly. That's where Housel's idea of reasonable over rational comes in.
Tell me more.
Okay, so he tells this wild story about a doctor, Julius Wagner Jarek,
Okay.
who won a Nobel Prize
Wow.
for a super unorthodox syphilis treatment.
What did he do?
Get this, he infected his patients with malaria.
Wait, what?
I know, sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But syphilis back then, terrible disease, no cure.
Right.
Wagner Jarek noticed that patients who also got malaria, sometimes their syphilis got better.
So he was like fighting fire with fire.
Basically, he figured the high fever from malaria might kill the syphilis bacteria.
Risky move.
For sure. But it was effective for a lot of patients.
Interesting.
And it led to a breakthrough in how we understand how the body fights infections.
So sometimes the unconventional approach works?
Sometimes. And what's interesting is Wagner Jarek saw the potential of fever,
Right.
which was like feared and suppressed back then.
Yeah.
So how does this all connect back to money?
Yeah.
It shows the limits of always trying to be perfectly rational.
Right, because sometimes irrational things work.
Exactly. Decisions that seem irrational on the surface can be effective,
Okay.
especially if they account for stuff traditional models miss.
Okay.
Like with finances, we need to remember the emotional side of things.
We're not just numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right. A risky investment might look amazing on paper.
Yeah.
But if the market crashes, panic selling, you wipe out your savings.
You need a strategy you can actually stick with.
Exactly. Even when things get tough.
So choose something that feels psychologically comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Even if it's not optimal, according to some fancy formula.
I like that. It all comes back to another big theme Housel explores.
Which is
Money's true value lies in the control it gives you.
control over what?
Your time and choices. It's not about having the most stuff.
Okay.
It's about having the freedom to live life on your own terms.
I can get behind that.
It seems like more and more people, especially younger folks,
Yeah.
they're prioritizing experiences and work-life balance over, the biggest paycheck.
What are your thoughts on that?
I see it too. Housel actually turned down a high-paying investment banking job.
He did.
Yeah, for a career with more flexibility.
So he walked away from the big bucks.
He did. He might have made more in banking, but he decided that trade-off, time and control,
Yeah.
wasn't worth it.
He chose freedom over a fatter wallet.
Exactly. And it makes you think about this whole paradox.
Look at that.
We have all this wealth,
Yeah.
but happiness levels are like stagnant.
People have more stuff than ever.
More stuff than ever. But so many are stressed, anxious, feeling like they lack control,
Like we're on a treadmill, always chasing.
but never arriving.
Exactly. And in that chase, we sacrifice what matters. Time with family, passions, even just relaxing.
So how do we bring this idea of control into our financial lives?
Good question.
Housel says, start with saving.
Saving.
Yeah, he compares it to energy efficiency.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Like we increase our energy wealth by using less.
Right.
We can boost our financial wealth by saving and being mindful of spending.
So it's about awareness,
Totally. Being more intentional with our money.
not just mindlessly buying things.
Right. Housel says saving is basically the gap between our ego and our income.
Interesting.
If we resist that urge to inflate our lifestyle,
Yeah, keep up with the Joneses.
we naturally end up saving more.
True wealth isn't about showing off.
It's about having that solid foundation.
Absolutely. Speaking of appearances,
Yeah.
it's crazy how our perceptions, the stories we tell ourselves, impact the economy.
Housel uses this hypothetical alien,
Okay.
visiting Earth in 2007, then again in 2009.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
This alien would notice, physically, things are basically the same.
Cities, infrastructure, all still there?
But the feeling, the economic mood, totally different.
How so?
2007, everyone's optimistic.
Right, housing boom.
People feeling good. 2 years later, boom, housing bubble bursts.
A financial crisis hits.
Fear takes over.
Wow, so the alien's confused.
Totally. Nothing tangible changed.
Just the story we were telling ourselves.
And that shift in narrative had a huge impact on our behavior.
Leading to that economic decline.
It's mind-blowing how something as intangible as a story can have such a real-world effect.
It shows the power of perception and belief.
It highlights how important it is to be aware of the narratives shaping our decisions.
We need a healthy dose of skepticism.
And remember, the loudest voices aren't always right.
The financial world is driven by emotions and stories as much as data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes you think twice, about all those stories we tell ourselves about money.
Yeah, we need to understand those narratives.
And be aware of how they might be influencing our choices, maybe even holding us back.
Exactly. It all goes back to what Housel keeps saying.
That psychology of money.
It's not enough to crunch numbers. You got to understand the why behind your decisions.
And recognize those biases that trip us up. We all have them.
Even Housel admits to making mistakes.
He does. He has this whole section called Confessions.
Oh, yeah, where he talks about his own financial flubs. It's kind of refreshing, Like even someone who studies finance can fall into those traps.
It makes it more relatable. We're all just figuring this stuff out.
Exactly. And what I like about Housel's approach is that Emphasis on self-awareness and humility.
Not pretending to have all the answers.
Right. Acknowledging that we all have blind spots, things we don't see.
And the financial world's always changing too, right?
It is. New tech, unexpected events, the rules of the game, they're always shifting.
So we got to be adaptable, not get stuck in our ways.
It's like instead of trying to predict the future,
Yeah.
we should focus on building a framework that helps us handle whatever comes our way.
Makes sense.
So no magic formula for financial success.
Right.
More about building a solid foundation based on our own values and goals, right?
Absolutely. Housel talks about defining your own game.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Figure out what you want, your goals, your values, your risk tolerance.
And then make choices that align with those, not just chase the hype.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of hype,
Oh, boy. It's so easy to get caught in that comparison trap, especially with social media.
everyone's showing off their perfect life.
But that's a dangerous game.
It is. Housel reminds us that real wealth isn't about impressing others with all your stuff
Nope. It's about having that freedom to live life on your terms.
and resisting the urge to keep up with the Joneses. That's key.
It's about finding contentment within yourself.
Powerful message. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the psychology of money,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a question, a real thought provoker that Housel poses in the book.
Okay, hit me.
If money is mostly about psychology,
Yeah.
what's one belief that you have about money
Hmm.
that might be holding you back? Take some time to think about that.
That's a good one.
Maybe it's a belief about your ability to earn or save or invest,
Right.
or maybe it's a fear of taking risks or making mistakes. Whatever it is, figuring it out.
It's the first step.
Exactly. By understanding our own financial psychology,
Yeah.
we can make choices that are truly aligned with our values and goals.
Leading to greater financial well-being, a more fulfilling life,
That's what it's all about, right? Using money as a tool.
to create the life we want.
Couldn't have said it better myself.